All right, so ready to dive into a story about, well, courage and skill, and a symbol that is chilling, but also really powerful.
Sounds intriguing.
We're going to explore the story of Lieutenant Colonel Bill Reed and his P-40 Warhawk, the Ace of Spades.
Oh, okay, the Ace of Spades. I've heard of that.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh? We've got excerpts from pasted text
All right.
to help guide us. So let's just get started.
Okay.
So right off the bat, I mean, that name, Ace of Spades.
Yeah.
It's not just like a cool design on the side of a plane.
Right.
It kind of speaks to something a little deeper, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. You have like the image of the highest card in the deck, the winner.
Right.
But it's also a spade, which
Yeah.
is often associated with death. So it's like you think about the mindset of these pilots, right?
Yeah.
Facing this incredible danger every time they get in the cockpit.
Yeah, I mean, like really facing death
Oh, so
every single time they fly.
yeah. So imagine yourself strapping yourself into this fighter plane, knowing that this could be it. This could be your last flight, and that Ace of Spades painted on the side.
Yeah.
It's like a reminder, sure, of luck, but also of mortality.
Right.
It's almost like a challenge, Cheat death, beat the odds, become the ace.
Become the ace. I like that. So, okay, the P-40 Warhawk.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like to fly that thing? I know that it wasn't the, most advanced fighter of World War II,
Right.
but it clearly got the job done.
The P-40 was a real workhorse, especially in the early days of the war. And yeah, you're right, it wasn't as, nimble as, say, the Japanese Zero.
Right.
But it was tough, reliable, and it packed a punch. I think of it kind of like, a pickup truck. Maybe not flashy,
Yeah.
but it can haul a heavy load and handle some rough terrain.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And okay, so Bill Reed, the pilot of the Ace of Spades, he was kind of an unexpected hero, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. He wasn't like a hot shot, from some fancy academy. This was a farm boy from Iowa who just had this passion for flying. And when war broke out, he didn't wait for the U.S. to get involved. He volunteered to fight with the American Volunteer Group.
The American Volunteer Group. Now, most people probably know him by their much more famous name, the Flying Tigers.
Right, Flying
I know
Tigers.
that's a name that just conjures up these images of like daring and adventure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they were more than just a cool name, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these guys were fighting in China before Pearl Harbor.
That's right. The Flying Tigers were a very unique group, so they were technically part of the Chinese Air Force, fighting against the Japanese in China before the U.S. officially entered the war.
Wow.
Yeah. And they faced some incredible challenges, often flying, outdated planes against a much more experienced enemy.
And Reed was right in the thick of it,
Oh, yeah.
from what I understand. And he really earned a reputation as a skilled and aggressive pilot.
He did.
I think he even scored multiple victories against Japanese aircraft
Yeah.
while flying with the Tigers.
Yeah, he did. He did. But when the Flying Tigers disbanded in 42, many of the pilots, including Reed, they wanted to keep fighting. Of course. So they joined the U.S. Army Air Force and continued the fight. And oftentimes, in a really challenging theater of war, the China-Burma-India theater, or CBI.
The CBI, yeah, that's where things get really tough.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The CBI wasn't exactly known for its ideal flying conditions.
No, not at all. Jungles, mountains, unpredictable weather. It was brutal. Keeping those supply lines open to China, it was vital. But it was a constant struggle against both the enemy and the elements.
Wow. So where did Reed end up?
So Reed ended up in the 23rd Fighter Group,
Okay.
specifically with the 3rd Pursuit Squadron, nicknamed Hell's Angels.
Hell's Angels. That just sounds intense.
It does, doesn't it?
I mean, were they carrying on the legacy of the Flying Tigers, would you say?
I think you could definitely see that connection. The 23rd Fighter Group was actually born from the Flying Tigers. So their spirit and their kind of aggressive tactics, lived on.
Right.
Hell's Angels Squadron was one of the original AVG squadrons. And they brought that same tenacity to the fight in the CBI.
So Reed kept racking up victories.
He did.
Became a true ace. It's really tragic that his story ends in 1944.
It is.
He was shot down in China.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder of the cost of war. But I think his legacy and the legacy of the Ace of Spades that lives on, they really represent the courage, the skill, just the sheer determination
Right?
of those who fought, in the skies above China.
Yeah, it's an incredible story. So we have this symbol, the Ace of Spades.
Right.
Represents both the thrill and the danger of air combat.
Yeah.
We've got Bill Reed, the farm boy, who became a fighter ace. And we have fascinating thread, connecting the Flying Tigers all the way to the 23rd Fighter Group.
Yeah.
And their fight in the CBI.
Yeah, it really makes you think about the impact that these volunteer groups had. Flying Tigers fighting even before the U.S. officially entered the war. I mean, they really did change the course of history in the Pacific. And it also makes you wonder how these powerful symbols, like the Ace of Spades, how they helped those facing, incredible pressure and danger, how they helped them find the courage and the purpose, to keep going.
To keep fighting.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Really powerful stuff.
All right. Well, that's our deep dive on Lieutenant Colonel Bill Reed and his P-40 Warhawk, Ace of Spades.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for coming on.